The Canucks make some emergency injury moves and devastate fans even further. But it does mean we're going to see the return of the team's best prospect as we head into Montreal tonight. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as we head through this road trip. With that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Canucks make emergency moves. So it was announced on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, that general manager Patrik Allvin announced that Dakota Joshua has been placed on IR retroactive to January 3rd, and Jonathan Lekkerimäki has been recalled from Abbotsford on emergency basis. So this is a big blow to the Canucks, especially because we just got Dakota Joshua back and now he's going on injured reserve. Quinn Hughes, he's hurt. Elias Pettersson, he's hurt. JT Miller, he was on a leave. Dr. Demko, he was hurt and came back, and now he's hurt again. There's so much happening with injuries around this team, and Dakota Joshua is at the center of it again, unfortunately. When he's having a nice, decent return to the lineup, not getting the goals that we saw from him last season, but he's definitely laying the hits and being that tone setter or just feather ruffler like we've seen him be. And Donnie and Dolly did put a good little graphic out on some other topics today that they went into on their show, but especially Dakota Joshua saying that it's week to week, but it's not like a 3-week type of thing. So that's some good news. Could be a week or 8 or 9 days. Was feeling good about himself, and now he's hit a speed bump as he was getting his legs back underneath him from his return from the cancer recovery. Thankfully, he recovered from that. Can use this week to get himself ready. Needs his physicality in the lineup. That last point, absolutely. When we have Dakota Joshua and Kiefer Sherwood out on the ice, you know that one of them is going to lay at least one hit, maybe 2 per shift. And that's what the guys that you want to have out there where they can disrupt the puck, they can disrupt plays, and make sure they can make something happen. And as far as the next 10 games go, they say they always want to play the better teams when you yourself are playing well. We'll get some sense of where they're at. Hopefully they can get healthy during this stretch. And as what it's going to lead to with one of the other things is Guillaume Brisebois saying he has a really good hockey IQ, needs to get a few games. Adam Foote is a really big fan of him. He's a really good defender, great person and coachable. Got to give the organization credit for sticking with him as he is the longest tenured Canuck. And he has seen some late bloomer. We have seen some late bloomers before. So maybe this is one of those cases. But as far as Brisebois thing goes, still have Branstrom in the lineup. We're going to get to that later on in this video. But with Dakota Joshua as well, it does suck that we're going to be losing him once again. But thankfully, it does not seem to be as long as it would seem. When you see guys go on IR, it's usually very alarming. You're going, wait, how long are we going to be without them? How many months is it going to be? Or how many weeks is it going to be? Thankfully, with Dakota Joshua, it seems like it's not going to be longer than 2 weeks. Hopefully, that's what the optimistic side of things are saying if everything goes well and he gets his feet back underneath him as he was already trying to do this season. And with all the injuries the Canucks have, definitely want to see him back on the ice sooner than later. Hopefully, all goes well for him and it's a nice recovery and he's able to just get back on the ice. But going into the game time decisions, at least for tonight, we know Joshua is out on IR, but Hughes is a game time decision. It's a possibility, and they don't think Pettersson is going to play. He was skating at the time of the question, but they will talk to him after the skate. We have some quotes on Pettersson of his media day that we're going to touch on in a later video because there's so much that went into that. But as far as the road trip going on, especially without Dakota Joshua playing a hot Canadiens team, they need to stick to their game a little bit longer and require bigger moments. That's something where this replacement on the emergency basis, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, could come in and give this team a spark. We've seen him do that in Abbotsford. We've seen him do it on the international stage, and we've seen him do it in just a few games this season as well with the Vancouver Canucks, showing flashes of what the future could be for him and what his potential is, where his floor is fairly decent as far as prospects go, but his ceiling is so much higher than a lot of other ones, and that is why he is the Canucks' best prospect that they have. It's Mark's favorite guy. It's their Canucks golden goose. That's who they have invested for their future if they have to move on from Pettersson or any of these other guys, they can at least invest in Lekkerimäki and say, hey, we trust you with the keys to the car. Go off and take this thing to the sunset. So hopefully Lekkerimäki gets nice fit into the lineup. We're probably going to see him tonight. Hopefully he gets a nice fit on a good line and is able to get something going on a team that needs something going. And like we said, we're playing a hot Canadiens team. It's going to be tough, and this road trip is going to be a big test for the Canucks. Thankfully, we play better on the road. As far as Vinny Desharnais goes, the last 3 weeks, he's really worked on his game. We've seen a lot different Vinny Desharnais than we saw earlier in the season. Skating and decision-making have been better. He's moving his feet more. The last 3 to 4 games, it seems some positive signs for him. Is learning a lot about how much preparation is needed to play in this Canucks and Rick Tocchet system. Is a great guy to coach, long reach, hard to play against, and what are impressed the teams last season. Saw him as a guy who they could work with. Those are all things that's exactly why we brought Vinny here. He's a bigger guy. They can stretch him out almost like Carson Soucy can do. So he's almost like a Carson Soucy 2 in that sense, where he's on a different line. So hopefully this is just a sign where before we were talking about him after that rough start, we were thinking that the Canucks were probably going to move on from him. But thankfully, he's hit a bit of a stride here where he's gotten a bit better fit in this Canucks system. And now we're starting to see why we brought him over here. Without Hughes, though, they want a more predictable game without him. Hughes is a one-man breakout, requires more structure. That goes without saying that this team is completely different when they don't have 43 on the ice. He can make things happen for us on a dime. He's fast while all being on defense. He has so many weapons in his arsenal to just unload on teams. And without him, we lose a lot of those weapons. We lose a lot of those abilities, and we lose a lot of those possibilities or those opportunities to make things happen, whether he's the one scoring the goals or creating opportunities for other teammates. Not having him in the lineup, not having your leader, not having your captain, that is also another big blow. So there's so many things that Quinn Hughes brings to this team. Obviously, we all know that. We all know why he's the captain. But not having him on this nice long road trip for a little bit, yes, he is going to probably play at some point, but not having him for this first game on the road trip, that is a big blow. Again, it's a game time decision, but we'll see what happens. And thankfully, if he is back, they've needed him. Without him this season, they've been really bad. The past few games have been a struggle without him and Pettersson. So that's something they're going to need to get going. And the defensive pairings, if he does not play, probably the same defense as the past few games. Not sure if they're going to play Brancham, and we'll have to talk to Footy or Gonchar. I hope and pray you guys put Erik Brannstrom in. I don't know why he's been missing the past few games. I have no idea why they've wanted to go with Guillaume Brisebois for these games. I know he's played decently, but when you look at the defenders playing this season, Erik Brannstrom, by the numbers, is our number 2 defender this season. So why in the hell is he being healthy scratch for these games, especially against good teams and with road games that we need to win, especially when we struggle at home and the road games are the only ones we seem to win? Though every one of those matters, and you don't have too many of them in the season. You only have about 40 of them. So now you need to make sure that you have your best guys in the lineup for those games. That those are the games that you're going to be winning more than your home games. So yes, Erik Brannstrom, get him back in the lineup. However you need to make it happen. Please make it happen, Vancouver Canucks. Guillaume Brisebois, he's been good, but there's other guys in the defensive lineup too we could cycle out too. It's not just Guillaume. You got Derek Forbort in there. You could cycle him in and out. We could see a bit of turnover because if we're not winning games, something has to change. If it's not forward line combinations, it's defensive pairings. So make sure that you're just having to shuffle that around. Yes, too much shakeup is bad because then you can't have guys get into a groove or find a chemistry. But if it's not working over the course of 2 to 3 games, you got to change it up, and we got to get Brannstrom back in this lineup. And as far as Demko is concerned as well, he's on the ice, feels better than he did yesterday as far as practice today, felt half decent. Doesn't think he'll be backing up tonight. We'll know his status in about an hour. He is likely not going to be playing tonight. It's probably going to be Kevin Lankinen getting the start. Something every team has to deal with this season as well is dealing with the noise. When you rely on the organization and the coaches to block it out, that's where you need them to come through for their players and make sure that they have the right mentality and the right atmosphere around them. When you play well, the noise goes away, and that is the biggest thing. The reason why this season has been so noisy for the Canucks has been that they just aren't playing well. If things were going well, we wouldn't be talking about the JT Miller and Elias Pettersson drama on every episode. We wouldn't be talking about trade rumors left, right, and center. We wouldn't be talking about so many injuries and how they implicate this team. If things were going good, none of this noise would be happening, or it wouldn't be as significant or as amplified. But because of that, we got to deal with it. We got to deal with the noise. They have to deal with the noise, I should say. We're the ones creating it because of their poor play. But hopefully they can pick it up and we can see a much different Canucks team like we saw last season. And in comparison to last season, this team goes without saying they've been very inconsistent. A lot has been thrown at this team, a lot of injuries. They're going to take the positive. 6 games over 500, so not far off some really good hockey teams. If they can get some players back and get back to last season's identity, there is a situation where they can get back to a situation where they are happy with. And that's the thing, is consistency is the biggest thing. But I like that last part where we saw last season, the Canucks at the midway point of the season, best team in hockey for anyone's money. They were scoring fast. They were scoring a lot. They were getting going. They were spreading the puck around. Lots of guys were scoring. They were scoring a lot of them. But this season, after that All-Star break, kind of hit a bit of a skid, and we kind of coasted or just squeaked into the playoffs. I know we won the division, but it wasn't a convincing division win. There was something that the Canucks could have put away a lot earlier in the season, and they just did not have the parts to do it, or just did not have the drive, or whatever it was. They couldn't do it. So yeah, we started out last season flaming hot and fizzled out. This season, it's been more inconsistent, just little spurts here and there, and then hopefully trying to catch wind. If that's the case if this is the opposite of last season, where we started out slow and we catch a flame near the end of the season, we ride in the playoffs super hot, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this inconsistency for now, as long as it doesn't continue and we right the ship at some point. But if they're able to catch flame at some point after the All-Star break or just before the playoffs where they get into a good playoff position, maybe they don't win the division. I know the division's a bit of a far cry right now, but you get into a wildcard spot with enough momentum. We saw how Nashville played us last postseason. They were a team that just squeaked into the postseason, and they played us like a team that won their division. So yeah, you can have that mentality as a playoff team where if you're riding in on a good streak and feeling confident, that wild card seed can take you pretty far if you're able to rise up to the occasion. And that's what the Canucks have to do. It's been inconsistent now, but once we get everybody back, hopefully we can keep everybody together. That's when we can just say, hey, let's pull the reins in on this thing and let's right this ship and let's just sail into not choppy waters. And because right now the waters are choppy and things are getting tough. But what do you guys think about the lines going into tonight as well? We have some Jonathan Lekkermacki action going in there, projected to go into that fourth pairing with Höglander and Sasson. So there's going to be a lot of interesting things for tonight. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about the lineup as for Daily Faceoff's projection. These aren't official as the Canucks don't announce them until before the game. The game is coming up. So what do you guys think about the game? What do you guys think is going to be the Canucks record on this road trip? What games do you guys see them stealing and what games do you guys see them for sure losing? Or even some overtime ones. Do you guys see any of them going to overtime? Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Hopefully we can start off this road trip with a W when we're back here talking about another win. It's been a while since we've had them, but hopefully we can get back here talking about one. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of the new updates. But I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.